My name is Jordan Berry, and today I'll be doing a review of the video game Deadpool, specifically the PC version with use of controller. Now, we'll talk about peripherals first. First of all, I chose this game because I enjoyed playing it a bit, and I figured, hey, why not do a review? Anyway, so I chose to do it on a PC because I have a decent PC, and quite frankly, I prefer it to console games. Don't want to start a flame war, but personal opinions. Anyway, so I chose to play it with a controller because this type of the hack and slash genre definitely is leaning towards a controller than keyboard, in my opinion. It just makes the game a lot more fluid and easier to play. Alright, sweet. So this game closely resembles the title, like a lot of hack and slashes. It closely resembles Devil May Cry in very much how it plays, etc, etc, etc. So let's just look at how it plays first. So you have heavy, light, and ranged attacks that you can sort of mix it all in together. So like there are combos with a heavy, light, heavy, and you get a lot more damage than just mashing heavy or mashing light. Very Devil May Cry. Anyway, and then you have, boom, 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 boom. You got shooting. The joys of range because that's how Deadpool fights from the Marvel comics. Because this is a game about a Marvel superhero called Deadpool. Shock, horror. Anyway, so, however, to the best of my knowledge, Devil May Cry didn't quite pull off shooting the same way that Deadpool does. In that there's this idea of gun fu, where you usually, you aim, you get a reticule, and then you can pick off enemies from a distance if that's how you want to play. But in this one, you can sort of throw it in to mix and match, like so it sort of adds this sort of like standard direction. There's also this idea of momentum and in the combat fighting where like you would play, so you fight, you build up these bars and then you right trigger X, B, and A to do various different moves, which changes based on what weapon you're using and what upgrades you have. So like you have to start thinking DP points, which are essentially the game's currency for leveling up a character into specific weapons, to both unlock weapons and then to unlock combos or bonuses like this one gives me lifesteal, this one gives me bleed, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so that's just a brief overview. The game's it sums up. It's a good encapsulation of Deadpool, like the character. Deadpool is one of those characters that sort of breaks the fourth wall a lot with his game in his comics, and there's a lot of that character-player interaction in the game itself, which you couldn't not do it. You couldn't not do it in this particular game. Anyway, moving right along. So, did they encapsulate the character? Yes, they did a very good job in encapsulating the character Deadpool into the Deadpool game, which fundamentally is Deadpool breaking the fourth wall by talking to both the director of the company, Timing, whilst about making a video game. But none of the characters know, apart from him, that he's making a video because it exists in that reality, it's separate from ours. But of course, Deadpool being Deadpool is very aware of his reality and very aware of that he is just a character. As he is, you can't not make a Deadpool game without having this aspect of his character. But anyway, the graphics are good. The graphics have a cartoon-ish nature, but this is always going to happen. It fits perfectly well into the whole Deadpool at Marvel. Any comic book character world would need to have cartoon aspects, except the ones that are about from the movies, because they're going to have a more realistic, because that's what they are. But anyway, so graphics wise, perfect, fits, it looks nice. There are not zero, there's a few graphical issues, like for the first half of the game, whenever I got too damaged, half of my screen would go red, but Hyman patched that relatively quickly, so good job Hyman. Graphical errors, so not many, except when you occasionally fall into parts of the map where you're not supposed to go, and then the game doesn't know what to do with itself. But yeah, anyway, so Graphics good. Gameplay, the gameplay is tight. It's very solid. However, there's moments in the game where it sort of starts to test your mettle, where there's specific areas where you're not supposed to fall into, and then you fall into them. But video games. It wouldn't be fun if it was painfully easy. Moving along. So got tight gameplay, got good graphics, sounds good. Very few people I've noticed talk about the sound of a game, but this game sounds right. Because you think about it, and if you hit someone and then the sound's not quite right, you sort of start to go, yeah, I don't really believe this is happening. It doesn't feel quite right. And this game sounds quite well. It sounds nice. Sounds quite nice. Anyway. So yeah, that happened. That sounds good. The story. Yeah, it's a good story. I liked it. It's basically Deadpool featuring Cable and a couple of the other X-Men versus Mr. Sinister. And, there are cameos from sort of all across, well, not all across, but there's quite a few cameos. It's mostly Deadpool versus Sinister, and then the X-Men show up for a bit, and Cable's always sort of in the background helping out, and even there's a really cool scene where you and Cable are fighting against these horde of enemies. It's a really, really nice scene where Deadpool isn't by himself for once, because it sort of is reference to the fact that Cable and Deadpool always got along really well, and it's good to see that they brought that into Deadpool's own game. But yeah, so overall the game, it's pretty good. It's hardly forgettable. It encapsulates the character quite nicely. It is very, very reminiscent of Devil May Cry, but with a character like Deadpool, it couldn't be any other way. So but there are, like I said, with aspects like the gun fu and the way the momentum works, it's forgivable because they took the basis of the Devil May Cry game and then, morphed it. That being said, Devil May Cry is very, it's very chapter, then a chapter, then a chapter, then a chapter. It's very almost episode-esque in the way that the game is set out, the way loading screens are. This Deadpool flows more. It's a much faster game in that regard, in that there's no backtracking, there's no stuffing around. You just play the game, I suppose. There's always going to be loading screens and there's always going to be cutscenes, blah 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 blah. But there's no painful loading screen. Waiting, and then your character selection and your character customization with the upgrades and such are a key button away at all times, which is cool because you play the game and then you look up and you go, oh, I've got a few 100,000 Deadpool points. I can spend them now. I don't have to wait until I finish the level to then customize my character, blah blah blah, and then off I go again. Which it's good. It works really well, and it's potentially something that Devil May Cry could do, but a lot of people will reject that because of Devil May Cry's almost anime and episodic nature. But we're not here to talk about Devil May Cry. But yeah, that about sums things up. Overall, 3.5, 4 out of 5. It's a good game. I'd enjoy it. I feel like I could play it again and again and still enjoy the game. Much like Devil May Cry. And, it's almost Deadpool May Cry, the game, quite frankly. But, it's good, it's fun, it's enjoyable. And, yeah. Alright, thank you, and good night.